Kim Jong-un cancels talks with South Korea. What is the real reason behind it?
The president of China, President Xi, could be influencing Kim Jong-un.
Does President Trump have a point?
我认为中共在这个过程中发挥了作用。中共目前的处境呢，它确实有明显的动机与金正恩协调行动步骤。
I personally think that the greater influence might be the fact that Moon is about to travel to Washington to meet Trump.
Do you think Trump and Kim can actually strike a deal? And if so, where would China be in the new dynamic after such a deal?
A bad deal from China's perspective would probably be seen as good because it would perpetuate the status quo, even if it might not result in complete North Korean denuclearization.
Welcome to Zooming In. I'm Simone Gao. Yes, Kim Jong-un flipped again by canceling the meeting with the South. This is surprising considering up until the day before the cancellation, Kim had been smiling. He closed a nuclear test site, released 3 U.S. hostages, and walked back and forth with South Korean President Moon Jae-in over the Korean border. But Kim is Kim. We should never forget that. This Kim might be different in the way that he is more skilled than his father and grandfather at his maneuver on the international stage. However, his counterpart is also different. President Trump is neither President Clinton nor President Bush or Obama. Kim wants to repeat history, but Trump wants to make history. How will this match proceed? Let's explore in this episode of Zooming In.
Last week, North Korea abruptly canceled its high-level talks with South Korea, just hours before they were scheduled to begin. North Korea's state television made an announcement. The South Korean authorities lost all senses, should be held wholly accountable for the scuttled North-South high-level talks and the difficulties and obstacles in the way of the North-South relations. The U.S. will have to think twice about the fate of the North Korea-U.S. summit, being now high on the agenda in respect of a provocative military racket against North Korea, in league with the South Korean authorities. A statement published by the Korea Central News Agency, KCNA, quoted Kim Ki-gwan, North Korea's first vice minister of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, saying, if the Trump administration was genuinely committed to improve ties with Pyongyang, they will receive a deserving response. But if they try to push us into a corner and force only unilateral nuclear abandonment, we will no longer be interested in that kind of talks and will have to reconsider the upcoming summit. He also said North Korea is not interested in U.S. economic compensation in exchange for North Korea's abandonment of nuclear weapons. The statement also referenced earlier comments made by John Bolton, Trump's national security advisor, about Libya being a potential model for North Korean denuclearization. The Libyan former leader, Muammar Gaddafi, dismantled his nuclear, chemical, and biological weapons programs in December 2003, after months of negotiations with the U.S. Afterwards, Gaddafi considered it too small of a reward for Libya for giving up its nuclear weapons program. He was also dissatisfied at the United States' slowness in normalizing relations with Libya and in pressuring Israel to denuclearize. The Libyan government was overthrown in the Arab Spring in 2011 with the help of NATO forces, and Gaddafi was shot dead by rebels. Kim Ki-gwan refers to Bolton's comments as an awfully sinister move to impose on our dignified state the destiny of Libya or Iraq, which had been collapsed due to yielding the whole of their countries to big powers. On Friday, however, President Trump dismissed talk of applying the Libyan model to North Korea.
Well, the Libyan model isn't a model that we have at all when we're thinking of North Korea. In Libya, we decimated that country. That country was decimated. There was no deal to keep Gaddafi. The Libyan model that was mentioned was a much different deal. this would be with Kim Jong-un something where he'd be there, he'd be in his country, he'd be running his country.
Despite the reasons the Kim regime gave for this sudden change of mind, the move is still surprising, considering just a week earlier North Korea released 3 American hostages. Just a day before, it appeared to have shut down a nuclear test site. Weeks before, Kim Jong-un walked across the border into South Korea for the first time and met South Korean President Moon Jae-in. And back in March, South Korea's national security advisor told reporters Kim had invited Trump to meet. He also said that Kim understands that the routine joint military exercises between Korea and the United States must continue.
Then how did the sudden change come about? There's another important event we need to take into account. A week before Kim's dramatic turn, he met with Chinese President Xi Jinping for the second time in a month. The cancellation announcement also came right before Liu He's upcoming U.S. trip for trade negotiations. Does China play a role in this? I spoke with Scott Snyder, Senior Fellow for Korea Studies and Director of the Program on U.S.-Korea Policy at the Council on Foreign Relations. Mr. Snyder believes the reasons for Kim's withdrawal are indeed U.S.-Korea military drill in Libya. I followed up with this question. What's puzzling about the military drill is that back in March, the South Korea National Security Advisor told the media that Kim Jong-un invited Trump to meet and that he understood the routine joint military exercise between Korea and the U.S. must continue. Then why is it a problem now?
Well, the exercises that they were talking about at that time were the annual military drills that the U.S. and South Korea conduct together, usually in March, but this year they were pushed back to April. And then the two Koreas, the leaders of the two Koreas met on April 27th, and they made this new declaration in which both Koreas pledged to not to undertake military activities that could be perceived as hostile to the other. But it was a very vague statement, not well defined. And I think the North Koreans are just trying to see what they can get and indicate that they see the nature and equipment used in this particular exercise as violating the spirit of that agreement. And so I think that it is still the case that North Korea recognizes that the U.S. and South Korea have a legitimate reason to conduct exercises, but they don't want to see elements that they consider to be hostile or offensive.
Right. Another thing is, a week before Kim Jong-un's cancellation announcement, he went to China to meet with Xi Jinping for the second time in a month. Do you think that meeting has anything to do with this?
I personally think that the greater influence might be the fact that Moon is about to travel to Washington to meet Trump, rather than the fact that Kim Jong-un went to Dalian to meet Xi Jinping. It is true that North Korea and China have similar perspectives with regards to the role of the United States on the Korean Peninsula, but I just don't quite think that Xi Jinping has been so specific as to suggest to Kim Jong-un that he should object to this military exercise. I think that that's not a very subtle approach. I think that the Chinese modus operandi, it may be heavy-handed at times, but it often is relatively subtle, and that particular approach of putting Kim Jong-un up to trying to push back against the USROK exercises, I think it was more likely that the North Koreans came up with that idea than that they're doing it at the behest of Xi Jinping.
What do you make of President Trump's comment that U.S. would not apply the Libya model to North Korea and that North Korea will get really rich and Kim Jong-un can stay in power if he gave up nuclear weapons?
Well, President Trump's statement contains complexity, I think, for the North Koreans, because The North Korean statement objected to the Libyan model, but it also objected to the idea that the United States was going to offer a lot of economic incentives to North Korea in order to achieve denuclearization. What the North Koreans really want is diplomatic normalization and security guarantees. And then, of course, they will also take any economic assistance that the United States provides. But I think from the North Korean perspective, it's very important to be seen as on an equal footing. And really, they're looking for acceptance by the United States as a kind of hedge that would remove one of the largest challenges that North Korea perceives to its security.
As to the Libya model, let's hear my discussion with Chinese senior political commentator Wen Zhao. 川普说美国没有想让朝鲜模仿利比亚模式，还说美国没有给卡扎菲保护。他说如果金正恩配合的话，他将让朝鲜变得非常的富有，金正恩也能一直执政。那您觉得他心目中的这个协议到底是什么样的呢？还有就是金正恩他更愿意抱美国的粗腿，还是抱中共的粗腿呢？
其实我觉得对川普这个话呀是存在着误读。他说没有想把利比亚模式应用在朝鲜身上，更有可能他的意思简单的就是金正恩你不用担心啊，卡扎菲放弃核项目之后，在内战当中被西方打击的这个情况不会发生在朝鲜身上，美国不会趁朝鲜无核以后再攻打你啊，你的安全是有保障的，而不是说美国放弃了利比亚那种先弃核再补偿的模式。也不是说美国准备接受朝鲜那个分阶段同步实施的去核方案了。川普不是职业的外交官，他头脑当中很多概念是混淆的，他的表达也是不准确的。你像利比亚无核化的进程经历了哪些细节，我甚至怀疑川普是否都清楚。所以他那个话的主要目的是缓解金正恩的焦虑。朝鲜的那个所谓分阶段同步实施的去核方案，他所要求的是一个比伊核协议更宽大的待遇。如果川普接受了这个方案，那么他退出伊朗核协议就成了一个笑话啊！所以永久的、可核查的和不可逆的这3项标准，就是川普他最终想达到的那个 deal 啊，那个去核的目标。在美中朝这3者的关系当中，朝鲜最终会倒向谁呢？因为要知道中共对朝鲜袒护的程度，他也要看在和美国的贸易谈判中朝鲜的利用价值。其实两家缺少这个牢固关系的基础，我认为这也让金正恩难以建立起对北京的牢固信任。
Coming up, Wen Zhao explains China's role in Kim's sudden change of attitude. After Kim Jong-un unilaterally canceled the high-level talks with South Korea, Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi urged the U.S. to remain calm. The next day, President Trump indicated that Chinese President Xi Jinping could be influencing Kim Jong-un.
I think things changed a little bit when they met with China. They met a second time. As you know, Kim Jong-un had a second meeting with China, which was a little bit of a surprise meeting. The president of China, President Xi, could be influencing Kim Jong-un. But we'll see. That's just, look, if you remember, a few weeks ago, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Kim Jong-un went to China to say hello again, a second time, to President Xi. I think they were dedicating an aircraft carrier paid for largely by the United States. Thank you very much.
So, does President Trump have a point? Let's hear my discussion with Wen Zhao. 川普也感觉习近平可能在金正恩突然取消朝韩会谈这件事情上起了作用。那您觉得川普这么想有道理吗？
对，我认为中共在这个过程中发挥了作用。除了5月7号到8号金正恩去大连之外，5月14号朝鲜还有一个代表团访问北京，而第2天就是中共的副总理刘鹤带团访美的日子。再过了1天，金正恩就威胁要取消美朝峰会。这些事情在时间上如此紧密的发生，如此接近，用常理来推断，他们之间不会没有联系。中共目前的处境呢，它确实有明显的动机与金正恩协调行动步骤。金正恩是5月16号发出的威胁嘛，5月17号中美第2轮贸易谈判就开始了。这个时候中共就可以去和美国说，他有能力影响金正恩安静地留在谈判桌上，那相应美国就应该在贸易上做出让步。 其实这个美韩军演它并不是一个意外的事情，在之前的朝韩互访，还有蓬佩奥去朝鲜那2次，都会向金正恩清晰的传达。那金正恩一直没有提反对意见。博尔顿关于那个利比亚模式的讲话发生在4月底，金正恩在长达2个多星期的时间内也没有做出任何反应，而且他5月9号还释放了3名美国人质，所以他的突然变脸应该是和近几天来自于北京的影响有关。
那金正恩现在他这样做到底想达到什么样的目标呢？还有就是习近平想达到什么目标呢？
习近平和金正恩在这个时候共同行动，是彼此借力向川普施压。如果川普向中朝所提出的那个分阶段同步实施的无核化方案靠拢，那金正恩当然他是赢得了时间，最终有可能还会保留部分核武器，也缓解了经济制裁。而在这个过程中，中共也可以持续在半岛发挥影响力。但是如果按照利比亚的模式去和，这个过程呢，就会由美国强势主导，北京就会被边缘化。而在朝鲜半岛被边缘化，那在中美贸易当中，中共也失去了一张牌。金正恩配合中美贸易战的这个关键时机发脾气，对他自己来讲是有一定的风险。所以我想按照中朝一贯的交往模式，他从习近平那里应该是收获了某些利益。同时这个突然变脸也有刺激韩国的作用，因为这个板门店会晤让韩国政府对未来抱有希望，期待达成南北和平协议，甚至启动民族统一的进程。因为害怕金正恩撤出谈判，文在寅是有可能做出更多让步，并且有可能还会去说服美国对金正恩妥协。
Coming up, Kim Jong-un repeats history, but will President Trump? Despite the surprise, Kim Jong-un is not the first one in the Kim family who would withdraw from an important agreement. The Kim family has done this more than once. In 1994, the Clinton administration and North Korea signed an agreement framework. The U.S. agreed to facilitate the supply of 2 light water reactors to North Korea in exchange for North Korea's disarmament. However, the U.S. suspected that North Korea did not stop its nuclear program. In 1998, the U.S. requested to inspect the Yongbyon underground nuclear facilities. Kim Jong-il agreed but asked for $300 million in compensation. The U.S. refused, and that led to the first collapse of the agreement. During the Bush administration, the U.S. obtained evidence that North Korea was still secretly developing nuclear weapons and requested to send inspectors to North Korea again. North Korea rejected it and officially reopened its nuclear program under the excuse of developing nuclear power.
The Clinton, Bush, and Obama administration had not been successful in terminating North Korea's nuclear program. Donald Trump used a different strategy. Is it better? Let's hear what Wen Zhao and Scott Snyder have to say. 川普的最大压力原则，有评论说是借鉴里根对付苏联的思路。那您认为这是个好的策略吗？适用于金正恩吗？
我认为这对美国而言是个正确的策略，理由很简单，不管是在朝核问题上，还是在对中贸易上，迄今为止一切有利于美国的变化都是增加压力的结果。对共产党政权而言，他只看重你2样东西，第一是你的实力，第二就是如果你的实力占优势，那就是你运用这个力量的决心。西方国家从来不缺物质上的优势，它欠缺的是使用优势的决心。当你掌握着优势而不想使用的时候，就和你没有优势是一样的。在朝鲜问题上，压力策略要奏效，它不仅要贯彻于金正恩的身上，还要施加于中共身上，甚至还要应用于韩国身上。但是这是3种不同的压力，对金正恩而言，那就是经济制裁加军事压力；对中共而言呢，就是贸易制裁；对韩国而言，则是要督促文在寅坚守目前的立场不动摇。在伊朗核协议问题上，川普表现出来必要的时候，他可以脱离盟国单独行动，那对韩国也应当传递这种压力。
This is what Scott Snyder has to say about this topic. President Trump is different from previous president in his dealing with the Kim regime. Some say his maximum pressure tactic is from Ronald Reagan. So, what is the philosophy behind Ronald Reagan's strategy back then, and why did it work?
Well, President Reagan's dictum, I think, was peace through strength. And so I do think that the maximum pressure campaign contains elements that could be derived from that philosophy. But when I think of Ronald Reagan and relevance to President Trump's current approach, what I think about is the Reykjavik summit, where Reagan and Gorbachev talked with each other about global arms control in an open and unscripted fashion, based on their own ideas and not based on some kind of understanding that was crafted by the bureaucrats. And I think that that is what President Trump may be doing with Kim Jong-un, and it's very rare. In fact, I don't think that we can identify a prior precedent other than the Reagan-Gorbachev meeting that can help us to understand the way that President Trump is approaching his meeting with Kim Jong-un.
Do you think Trump and Kim can actually strike a deal? And if so, where would China be in the new dynamic after such a deal?
If we look at what might happen in a Trump-Kim summit, there are really three, I think, distinct possibilities. One would be a good deal, the second would be a bad deal, and the third would be no deal. From the perspective of China, a good deal from a U.S. DPRK good deal, might also involve a change in North Korea's strategic orientation, and I think China would see that as bad. A bad deal from China's perspective would probably be seen as good because it would perpetuate the status quo, even if it might not result in complete North Korean denuclearization. And no deal from China's perspective would also be bad because it would raise the likelihood of a return to military confrontation between the United States and North Korea.
The latest news is that after Kim Jong-un canceled the meeting with the South, he demanded that Seoul return 12 North Korean defectors. But Seoul said those people want to stay in the South. Meanwhile, US and China both announced China has agreed to significantly increase purchase of US goods and services in order to reduce the trade imbalance between the two countries. Not a bad start for America. Let's see what happens next. This concludes today's program. Thanks for watching Zooming In. I'm Simone Gao, and see you next week.